Okay. Welcome to another episode of Ask Dr. John, a father-daughter conversation about my dad, Dr. John F. Leake's memoir, American Change Agent, A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. My name is Ananda Leeke, and I'm here with Dr. John. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good today. Had a very nice church service this morning and feeling very enthused and ready to go with uh, our conversation.
And speaking of our conversation, today we're talking about what is a change agent? And we're going to be sharing some excerpts from American Change Agent. It's available on all of the online platforms. You can go to anandaleek.com/Dr. John to get those links. We encourage you to purchase the book from IngramSpark. When you do that, as self-publishers, we earn more money. You can also go to Barnes& and Noble as well as Amazon.com and others. So, jumping right into this conversation, in chapter 22, the last chapter, which is entitled A Legacy Gift for You Lessons Learned, we dive deep into what it means to be a change agent and Dr. John's lesson number 9. That lesson is you can be a change agent. So, Dr. John, would you read some of that lesson so that folks can hear in your own words what you consider a change agent is?
Sure. A change agent is a person who is committed to making things better in an organization and community. I've been a change agent since my early days as a teacher and guidance counselor in Flint, Michigan. When I worked as an NEA staffer and a consultant with my own firm and with EY LCY Cross Associates, I was able to make organizational change within institutions. In addition, I have leveraged my change agent skills to improve my civic and church communities.
All right. So, thank you, Dr. John. If you heard that, you understand that all of us are change agents. And a change agent is our natural ability, but it becomes something real in our lives when we make that choice. A couple of things that I want to highlight that are in the book that we really wanted to drive home to you in terms of being a change agent is that one, a change agent, becoming a change agent and living as a change agent is a process. It's just like life, it's a process. And when you're talking to folks, Dr. John, about being a change agent, and they come to you and they say, well, how will I know? Like, how much time does it take? What's the level of energy that I need to put forth? What would you share with them?
Well, first of all, uh, change is clearly an ongoing thing. Um, Sometimes we have an idea of what we want to change, uh, and we have to give some thought to: are there some things that I may need to do to get ready for a change activity? I know as I think back about some of the projects and some of the things that I've been involved in during my career, uh, I spent a good bit of time sort of scoping it out, planning it up, coming up with a design that would address the issues that I was wanting to try to change or to help others to be able to change. So, as you said a few moments ago, it's a process, and it's a process that sometimes will take you longer than you had anticipated. I often say it's work. WORK. It does not happen easily. And so you have to commit yourself to putting in the time, doing the research sometimes that must be done so that the effort that you put into it will be beneficial.
I'm glad that you said it's work. And I was laughing, everybody, because all throughout my life, my father has said, "It's work, Puffy." That's my nickname. And it's the way that he says work. It just goes right through me. And it just makes me want to say, ah. But he's right. It's work. And one of the things that we did last year, we were looking at how former Vice President Kamala Harris um, talked about change. And we include one of her quotes in this lesson. And she says, "Change is never easy, but it is always necessary. Change is never easy, but it is always necessary." And if someone were to come to you and say, "Dr. John, all right, so VP Harris says change is never easy, but it's always necessary. How do I navigate when it's not easy? How do I navigate? How do I keep myself on the path of change when it ain't easy?"
Yeah, yeah. It's like another thing that is often talked about is keep your eyes on the prize. Okay.
Mm,
And so um, it's like what we are experiencing today. Uh,
mhm,
we are in some very difficult times.
mhm,
Uh, we are having to face the reality that efforts like what went on in the 60s. Um, and as I was listening to uh, Bishop Campbell this morning in his homily, and he referred back to what happened almost 62 years ago with the speech that Dr. King gave. Uh, and, that was a focus on where we needed to go. What was the change? And and he was clear, and I think many of us were clear. We knew what the work was, but it took a whole lot. It took a lot of people, a lot of energy, a strong commitment, and commitment to, as my book is a life of seeking uh, diversity, equality, and inclusion. And that's what we have been about. And so you do have to keep your eye on the prize.
mhm.
You have to stay focused because you'll make some improvements, but that won't be the only thing you have to do. That's what I think we have found out. We may have stopped a bit short. And that's why we are now back revisiting some of those things that we felt we had accomplished.
I also think that when I think about change in my own life, there have been times where I thought, the change was done, and I become comfortable, and I've taken things for granted. And then I look up and my foundations, like you felt like the rug was taken, was what is it? Removed from
Removed.
removed from underneath your feet. But when you go back, once you can ground yourself with whatever practices that work for you. I mean, I know for myself, in the midst of different changes in my own life, my individual changes, what has helped me navigate change is my spiritual practices and my self-care practices, my community, my spiritual communities, my creative communities, family, friends are all wrapped up in all of that. Having practices, having that kind of support, taking care of myself, making sure that I'm nurtured, um, because what I keep learning, and this is something that I think it's just part of human nature, is that all that you change changes you, and the only lasting truth is change. And that is Octavia Butler. That's the wisdom of Octavia Butler. And we include the full quote in our book. Octavia Butler was an African American science fiction uh, author. And lots of people will know her by her books, The Parable of the Sower, and there's a whole series of books. She writes, "All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change." And that's that last line, the only lasting truth is change, that I keep coming back to for both personal change as well as the collective change that we see in our families, in our society, in our communities. You leave the reader with a real gem of wisdom. And it's the last line, the last two lines in lesson 9. Can you read that for us, Dr. John?
Okay, just please take a second while I uh, get back to that for a second. Yes, those last two lines say, "So be patient and keep working on it as long as it takes. Make, quote, play the long game your mantra."
Yeah. And the long game is your life.
Yes.
Long game is your life. It's not a week, it's not a month, it's not 5 years, it's not 10. It's your life. I mean, I think back to some lessons I learned from my mother, Teresa B. Garden Leeke, and her both saying it and living it in terms of her level of service, because we make change in our own lives, we make it in our communities, we make it in our workplaces, we make it in our businesses and in our relationships. And my mom, Teresa, was a change agent in all aspects of her life, and she dedicated her life to service in her church community, in her sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, in the various schools where she taught and served as a principal, uh, in her neighborhoods, wherever she was, she committed herself to change to her family. And so I really hope that as we all move forward, that we take up a lifetime commitment to making the small, medium, and big changes. And it doesn't have to be that you write a book, or that you start a civil rights movement, or it can happen right where you are. Change starts with ourselves first. It's a choice that we all get to make. You hear me say we get to make. It's a privilege to be able to make change. It's an ability that we all have, but we have to choose to use it. And when you think back to your own understanding of change, I would think that it started when you began learning, studying, and working in organizational behavior. And one of the one of the definitions that we include in the letter to the reader talks about organizational change. And there's a sentence, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. It says, according to the organizational theory espoused by Richard Beckhart, author of Agent of Change, My Life, My Practice, and then Warren Bennis, author of On Becoming a Leader, and then Kirk Lewin, is it Lewin? An
Kurt
author,
Lewin, excuse me,
yeah,
Kurt Lewin,
Kurt Lewin, an author of A Dynamic Theory of Personality, and then Edgar Schein, author
Shine.
Shine of Organizational Culture and Leadership. They define a change agent or an agent of change as someone who promotes and enables change to happen within any group or organization. So I want to ask you, like, when you why do you hang on to that, like, as a foundational um reference point for change in organizations?
Because it for me, it's important to uh, have a a foundation, something that you can um, stand on.
Hmm.
And so when I was doing some of my study, and particularly when I was at the NEA and I was responsible for coming up with some uh, plan change efforts. And I began looking at some of the theorists, of which you just mentioned when you read that, Kurt Lewin and Shine and Bennis. For those people who may be listening and know organizational development and organizational behavior theory, these are these are the people who we study under, and so I have been able to hold on to that type of foundation uh, throughout my life. Uh, I don't have to hardly think about it. I know that the what their concepts were the things that would help me stay focused.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we have dived deep into what it means to be a change agent. We want to ask you, as you are listening to this video and you're thinking about and reading the book, American Change Agent, we want to know, what is your definition of a change agent? And how are you showing up as a change agent in your life, your family, your relationships, your community, your workplace, your business, your organizations that you're a part of? How are you showing up? Small, medium, big ways that you're showing up. We'd love to hear from you. So wherever you find this video, leave us a comment and let us know. Again, we thank you for tuning in to another episode of Ask Dr. John. We encourage you to follow us on YouTube. Go to Dr. John Leeke. You can see his channel, it's right there. You can also get more information about the book by going to anandaleeke.com/ Dr. John. You can learn about our upcoming events in September and in October by going to that page and signing up for our email list. Dr. John, is there anything that you want to leave folks with?
No, I think I just want to say one other thing because we are in the midst of the need to make what I think will be a big change. And I make reference to we've got an opportunity uh, coming in November. There will be a bit of elections, particularly for some of the current congressional leaders. This is a time that we, as the people, we need to be there to make the change that is so necessary.
And I would say all elections. We've got elections coming up in 2025. We've got some redistricting elections that are coming up in 2025, and then we've got elections in 2026. Local elections happen all the time, statewide elections happen. Let's use our power of voting. And we can also make changes in how we consume and what we use our money for, supporting businesses that reflect our values. You make the determination. Uh, but we have choices and how we spend our money, where we spend our time and our energy, what we utilize. You have to figure out what works best for you and your family and your life and your income and where you're at. There's no judgment. It's just we do have the power to change. And as one that is continuing to make small changes as I move forward with where I shop, where I go, what services that I use, it ain't easy and it ain't comfortable. And it also requires that you give yourself grace because it may not be feasible for you to let go of some services that you need or your family needs, and that's the only way that you're able to um, get whatever products or services that you need. So there's no judgment there, but you make the change. Find some ways as we close out 2025 and we move into 2026 where you can make an impact. So with that, we're gonna say see you next time. I'm gonna give you the last word, Dr. John.
Now, my last word is change is always.
All right, you heard it from the American Change Agent himself, Dr. John F. Leeke. Go to anandaleeke.com/Dr. John to purchase the book, American Change Agent, A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. See you next time. Bye.